A story from the 16th century Kabbalah has been passed down through the ages. It describes vessels that were made to hold all of the light of the world. And as light poured in, the vessels broke into pieces that scattered around the world. Since that time, it's been humanity's responsibility to repair the brokenness. Now, I believe all of you are invested in repairing the world. How many of you have given to a Cleveland charity? Yes. And because of your generosity, Cleveland is one of the most philanthropic cities in the nation. Yet, it has the second highest rate of childhood poverty. How do we repair that damage? Do we need to give more money, or do we need to give differently? I've been searching for answers since 2004, when I was working at a homeless shelter, and Cleveland was designated the poorest big city in the nation. I did research, I attended poverty summits, wrote a book, and interviewed scores of people like yourself, looking for ways to end poverty. One woman said to me, "The most significant impact anyone can make is to touch the life of just one person." I told her, "There are far too many people suffering. We can't think so small." She touched my hands, looked into my eyes, and said, "Touch the life of one person. Not professionally, personally." There's a universal tendency to view the plight of strangers philosophically. Things change when you have a personal relationship. So, I volunteered to tutor a 7-year-old boy named Arterius in a failing school in Cleveland. I fell in love with him immediately. One day, he came to school and he was stuttering violently because he was frightened about something he had just seen. Later that day, I too was frightened as I drove in my locked car, taking pictures of what he saw. This chained dog dead, a burned out house, a firebombed car, and these posters of local unsolved murders. I cried the ugly cry. You know, the snot flying kind of cry. Because I didn't know how to protect him. And I didn't have a clue about how to repair all the brokenness that surrounded him. The next time Arterius was too frightened to read, I suggested that he draw pictures of his dreams instead. Immediately, he sketched solutions for everything that he feared. Fireproof buildings, bulletproof playgrounds, and rooftop gardens that could produce enough food for everyone in his neighborhood to eat. His fears vanished as soon as he realized and experienced that the visions within him were so much more powerful than anything around him. And he really believed that he could make changes. And I wondered, what could happen if we listened to the dreams and the inner visions of people in our community? The next day, I wandered around about a 2-mile area, and I met 16 other people who shared their dreams. Each one of them had something that they could offer the other. And that woman's words came back to me, touch the life of one person. And I thought, maybe I'll get them in touch with each other. This is what happened. Mr. Taylor had dreams of acquiring the land next to his house for a healing garden. 10 foster kids had dreams of finding a safe place to play. They connected. Mr. Taylor provided them a safe haven and mentored the kids. The kids helped him plant his healing garden. The Rosarios had dreams of starting a landscaping business, but they needed their truck fixed. They connected to Mr. Taylor, helped him get the land from the land bank, and built a fence around his yard. In turn, he paid them $200, and they got their truck fixed. 3 men had dreams of how they were going to get compostable material tons of it, to their urban farm so they could make compost. They connected to Rosarios who transported it in their newly fixed truck. And Darterius had dreams of being able to grow food for his neighborhood. He connected to the 3 men who taught him organic gardening and how to raise fish. We're each other's missing piece. When we connect, that's when we repair. So after connecting with many, many, many more Clevelanders, we all thought about starting a nonprofit together. But it was going to take over a year. And dreams had been deferred way too long. So we ditched the idea. We figured we don't need to be a nonprofit to be kind, and we don't need government grants or foundation support because we don't need millions or even tens of thousands of dollars. When people connect and they share resources, small bucks can make big change. After all, 17 people were able to complete their projects with only $200 because human capital is the essential ingredient, not currency. So instead of a nonprofit, we created Inner Visions of Cleveland. It's our own community profit model. 100% freedom, 0 bureaucracy, no office, no paid staff. Our focus is on building connections between people that are neighbors and people who are at opposite ends of the economic spectrum. Because we're each other's missing piece, we want to connect all the pieces so that we can close the economic divide. We start by walking down streets, going to coffee houses and community meetings, discovering Clevelanders who have a vision for improving their neighborhood. Then, we introduce them to people like you and their neighbors and people from the surrounding suburbs who have skills and resources, equipment, contacts, things to share so they can do their projects. Now, when this happens, they get to be able to go to events that we hold. And that's another way that we connect people. We hold public forums, photo exhibits, plays, and tours of the various project sites. At each of these events, community members are present to describe their projects. Things like public murals, community gardens, mentorship, urban farms, artist incubators, you name it. And people of all income levels attend these events, and no one is expected to get involved in any way. But many do. And here's an example of what typically happens. Jane, who is an art patron, met Gwen at a photo exhibit. Prior to their meeting, neither of them had the support that they needed to really reach their aspirations. Jane had had dreams of using her art so that she could help others. And Gwen wanted to be able to move from being part of the problem to being part of the solution. As they connected and supported one another, they decided that what they would do together is they would teach a prison arts class, and that's what they're doing now. Gwen has gone on and opened her own art gallery with money that she received from a giving circle, and Jane joined her advisory board. It is these kinds of mutually beneficial, win-win, respectful relationships that can start healing that economic divide. To fund these projects, we would really much prefer to have several people give small amounts of money rather than having one large contributor. Because that way, there are many more proud community stakeholders. And that's why we like to use giving circles to fund our projects. Giving circles assemble large groups of people. Everyone donates a set amount. And if people can't afford to make a donation, we give them opportunities to earn the money so that they can participate. Then, in the space of 1 hour, projects are pitched, audiences vote, and projects are funded. Speed philanthropy like this has funded things like a food truck and the rehabbing of a home for for women who've been abused, and 1 year's rent for a business startup. Another way we like to fund projects is with angel investors. Now, an angel investor is somebody who's gotten involved in projects or who has attended an event who wishes to provide money for projects. They remain anonymous so that there won't be an imbalance of power between the donor and the recipient. 100% of their contribution goes directly where they want it to go, because there's no administrative overhead. And because they're involved, they get to witness how their money is being spent. Angel investors have supported things like microloans, stipends, solar panels, and even a chicken and beekeeping project that's going to be headed up by Dartarius. He's 14 years old now. So back to our original question. What do we need to do to repair the damage brought on by poverty? Well, if we each give our own fair share, it won't cost too much for any of us. But it's going to take more than just money. We have an abundance of what we need. It's just scattered about. And to fix what's broken, we need to fix our broken connections. Each of us has something, a missing piece that somebody else needs. And you, or they, have the missing piece for us. So once we connect, we will have everything we need to create the thriving community. So here's what we're going to need to do today. Go out and touch someone's life. Your missing piece might just be in this room. Thank you.